The DME is the platform for trading in Oman crude futures. It handles about $1.5 billion of oil transactions monthly. The new CEO wants more Arab banks involved in trade financing.
We're definitely going to be looking at adopting other products. And the great thing about the DME is that we're not just restricted only to energy products or commodities at all. So we do have the ability to list other things. For me, in the short term, what I want to do is really look around the Gulf region and see what's interesting there. You're probably aware that Fujairah is now building up a huge fuel oil terminaling facility. They're number 3 in the world right now. Right now, there's something like 8 or 9 million barrels in that facility alone, which is in the UAE, and we're definitely interested in looking at what we can do there.
I mean, that's about bringing the end user to use your exchange, to use your contract, but what's the reality? You need to get the Saudis on board. You need to get them to think alternatively to Brent, which is traded here on ICE. How do you do that? Because that's a long-term project.
Absolutely, it is. And what you need to do, in my opinion, is first of all, make sure you have a solid foundation on your own exchange. Make sure that the proposition that you're delivering to your stakeholders is a good one. And, you know, for the first time ever, the DME is trading out 6-7 months, which hasn't happened before. So we're building a better long-term spread on the contract and also liquidity down the curve.
So that's about building out the strips. That's about building out open interest. And I get that and I understand that. But I looked at the daily volumes. ICE is nearly 700,000 contracts. You're doing well. You've had a nice pickup in momentum. Is it realistic? Do you want to be as big as ICE? Do you want to get from 5,000 a day to 600,000?
Absolutely. And you're not going to do it overnight. You know, what I want to do is get to 10. Then I want to get to 15. And then you start to build liquidity upon itself.
And how quickly do you think we can get to 10, 15? Do the Saudis come to you gently?
I think that when you build a better proposition and they see what their alternatives are, that they're going to assess what makes the most sense for them. And in my view, you know, that's going to be the DME. But they have to come to that conclusion themselves. In the meantime, I'm going to build a better market.
Tell me this, what does it take? Is it my exchange margins? Is it my ability? Can you offer, I know you want to bring the banks on board. Yeah. Is this about offering credit lines? How do you make it more appealing for me to think, yeah, you know what, I'm going to switch from ICE. I'm going to give a little bit of my pie over to DME.
Well, I think what you do is you build an ecosystem. What you have to do is bring in the local financing, which is the banks, the Arab banks financing Arab oil. You have to include the refiners, you have to include the storage, you have to include the traders. And this is exactly what happened in the Brent contract or in WTI, where you had Houston and you had New York as the financial center, and here you had Brent and the fields out in the North Sea with London's financial cloud. And that's exactly the model we're going to replicate on the DME.
Tell me this, because I'm seeing in the notes trade finance. I'm looking at an exchange traded product on the DME. It's in oil. Trade finance to me has always been doing quite complicated deals with financing and negotiation. How do you make those two complement and come together?
This is the easiest thing in the world, because on the DME, you're able to take the long futures position and see it all the way to delivery. So it's a very easy package to tie up, which is a secured trade finance facility, which is hosted on a regulated exchange. So it's a very simple proposition. And I think that the players in the region can see it, and we can actually move this forward easily.
The Arab banks, how supportive? They must be hungry for a homegrown sort of success story in Dubai.
They are, and the 6 that I've talked to, spanning the UAE, Bahrain, and Saudi, have all been very supportive. I mean, some of them are interested in trying to see if there's a Sharia element, a Sharia law element we can incorporate, and we'll investigate that. But in the short term, they have a lot of liquidity, 40 years of petrodollars going through the region, and they are looking for ways to spend it. And also they want to compete with the European banks, who are frankly having a difficult time, as I'm sure you know.
Listen, you've just signed up Reliance in India, and again, this is about strength of name, becoming a participant on this exchange. Does your growth lie in Asia? Is that where your focus is going to be?
Absolutely. If you look at it, there's the largest reserve base on the planet facing the fastest growing consumer base. It's an excellent combination. And we'll be in Mumbai next week. We'll be talking to Reliance. We'll be getting them to start trading the exchange as soon as possible. And we're also hopeful that that's going to trigger the other names in the region, especially in India, coming on board.
Christopher Fix, the CEO of the Dubai Mercantile Exchange, talking to me earlier.